How many days in a row do you Fair. How many days in a row do you go out?
I don't know, like 5 or 6.
I'd call that one project, one cruise.
One cruise?
That's one cruise.
Yeah, it doesn't seem right
It doesn't seem right.
linguistically.
Yeah.
So I mean,
No.
in terms of like, if you want to count and you want to do like a who's done how many cruises, but in terms like you wouldn't write it out. You wouldn't like if you're writing a
No.
book, you wouldn't be like
Right, yeah. I
that
see
was
what
the
you're
best cruise because I had a great team and had great meals at home.
Okay,
Oh,
okay.
Is that how you feel?
Here's one. So
Oh, at home. Not with us right now.
No, we do have a great team now.
the fish farm one, I have to take the boat to get to my accommodation.
I don't
Whereas if I'm driving to a hotel or staying at home, I don't have to take a boat to get to my accommodation.
How is that relevant?
I don't know. How is any of this relevant?
Well, we're on a ship, so I guess
Yeah.
like somewhat.
So we took the boat to our accommodation,
Yeah.
we took our accommodation with us on the boat.
No, but we didn't take a boat to our accommodation. We flew and then walked, and then drove and then walked to our accommodation.
For the first night, but that's a shore day, not part of a cruise.
Why would you use cruise instead of expedition or mission or project?
Could do that.
laziness.
Swim again? Are they the same?
That's what I'm wondering.
I would say project is not the same.
Okay. But expedition maybe?
Expedition could be.
Or
It
mission
could also
maybe?
that could the Sahara could be an expedition,
That was most certainly an expedition.
but it's not a cruise.
I lived in a tent and I lived in a house. Are they different?
Expedition, not a cruise.
It's definitely not a cruise.
I don't think I got that off in time. Huh.
If any of our
gauges.
listeners want to clear up this very important debate, feel free to step in. How does one define a cruise? Okay, here's one. A cruise takes on passengers only at the port where the trip begins and ends.
Well, I got on in Honolulu and I arrived in Pongo Pongo.
Right.
There you go. So it's a cruise.
So that's one cruise? Honolulu to Pongo Pongo?
Yes.
And also Pongo Pongo to Pongo Pongo. Another cruise. But that would make even a 45-minute,
Ferry ride.
well, as long as you're paid to be there.
Okay,
in
here's
a
another one.
Mariner capacity.
Well, okay, here's another one. This might clear up your question there. Merchant regulations define a day at sea as either 8 hours or 12 hours aboard a vessel. Depends on length of the workday, i.e. if you're working 8 or 12 hours. So technically we're on a cruise, right? Because we're working 8 hours a day? Does that make sense?
I didn't hear anything on there about being, did I hear being at sea? In that, could you read that again?
8 or 12 hours aboard a vessel. 8 or 12 hours of work aboard a vessel.
Okay.
That's considered a day at sea, according to merchant regulations.
So days in port where we work 8 hours are a day at sea.
Wow. Yeah, because we're aboard the vessel
Yes. And working.
and working for 8 or 12 hours. But if it's a half day, it doesn't count.
Apparently not.
Unless
yeah.
you're aboard for more. Well, if you sleep on board, you're aboard for 8 hours.
But you're
Or
not working for
not
8
working.
hours.
Can we zoom in on Argus?
What are we looking at, Suna?
Down below.
Yeah.
It's out of frame right now. Oh. It passed. It was something like a bucket, wasn't it? A bucket shape.
What if that vessel's in dry dock
You're still technically aboard a vessel.
for 8 hours working?
But does it have to be in water for it to be considered a cruise at sea?
I don't know. Now we're talking sea days instead of cruise.
What if we were on a lake?
That's
oh,
fair.
that's
Fair
a good
game.
point.
Totally fair game.
Type of water does not matter.
Salinity
Pool?
does not
Type,
matter.
yeah.
Swimming pool?
There's no salinity cutoff.
A floaty?
Swimming pool.
So
I mean, like,
ice, like a frozen
yeah. Oof.
tundra, that's on water. You said the type of water doesn't matter.
So if you're doing a glacial expedition, is that a cruise? You're not aboard a vessel. You gotta
I
be
think
aboard
you
a
have to have the vessel part, yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say cruise is a trip to sea where you spend at least one night overnight, you know, and
Dee
I'm
I'm
not
saying no. Hard no,
saying-
Petey.
I'm just saying this is my thought. And yeah, and the cruise starts when you're on land, when you get on, and then it ends when you get off the vessel. And then if you
You
were
have
to
to
do it
spend the night
again,
at sea.
that would be another cruise. That's how I think of it, like as a you know, English language definition.
So if you had 5 days in a row of 8-hour day
Or
ops,
12 hour.
8 or 12-hour day ops, that'd be 5 different cruises.
Well, I said if you're overnight on the ship.
But you're not overnight.
No, then I wouldn't
You
say.
said overnight at sea.
Well, on water, in a vessel.
In a vessel.
Yeah.
So my fish farm thing does not count as a cruise.
Right.
Interesting. Spent 2 weeks at sea. Never had set foot on land. Not a cruise, according to Steve.
Hey, that's my definition.
I'm going to say my definition is one, like, set apart time frame so long as you're working 8 hours a day. So, like, our expedition right now, 111, that's one cruise because we're still working 8 hours a day with a very set sort of goal and time frame. Commercial fishing, you go out on the opener oftentimes, and then you have a set day when you catch your limit and you go back to port working 8+ hours a day. I'd say one of those is a cruise. What do you think, Dee Dee? You can do the same thing if you're that same project but you're working 8 hours a day.
That seems fair.
Yeah.
The fish farm is a interesting
Yeah.
asterisk, tangent, footnote, subscript.
Fine print.
So I'm still working on the vessel during the day. I just go to the
It-
fish farm accommodation at night. But I get on the vessel in the morning, work 8 hours or 12 hours, and then go back to the fish farm at night.
I think that counts then.
So they have overnight accommodations out there?
On the fish farms, yeah.
Huh, interesting.
They're very remote. Several hours of boating to get into or out of them.
Is this in BC?
Yeah.
Cool. Salmon mostly?
Yes.
Why do they call it British Columbia?
Because it's not any other Columbia. And it was British at one point.
It's the name of the province or state.
Why do they call it Utah?
Why do they call it Utah?
Or anything? Why do they call anything anything?
I already regret the question.
This conversation is way too esoteric. Like, what is happening?
I already regret the question.
So for those of you who are not interested in what defines a cruise, welcome. We are heading over to line 11 We just finished that sort of additional area that we added to the initial survey area, and realized that there was a gap in coverage in line 11 of our original survey area. So we're heading back over there just to make sure that we map this area to the greatest extent possible. And it is also near the location where the coordinates for the Samoan Clipper were recorded by the Navy at the time. So we want to be sure to get that. And then after that, we will be bringing Argus to 2 targets, target 30 and 31, to get visual and see what we're working with. Those 2 targets are probably the most promising, or among the most promising ones that we have so far. So we're excited to see what it's all about. Do we know about how big this gap in coverage is on line 11?
It is an area where between 2 lines there was not full coverage. So it's not, I don't know the calculation of, what that blank area is, but it's just the gap between the 2 lines where the coverage did not overlap enough to have full coverage, if that makes sense.
And this area is located right close to the coordinates that we have as to where the Navy at the time determined the Samoan Clipper likely went down.
Yep. I think we'll see it as we go by. I believe I can't remember if we're north or south of that.
Okay.
But close to it, yes.
And we did already map over that area. And did we see any potential targets or areas of interest there?
Nothing, directly at or,
Can we zoom?
particularly, near it. But we weren't assuming that those coordinates were right on anyways.
Sure.
Looks like there are more of those.
Is that a rock?
Looks like kind of a burrow, I don't know. See the trails here? Looks like something was dragged along the sediment.
What's the longest cruise anyone has been on? Or longest time at sea, maybe?
I'm going to beat that one this year. What?
Oh, sorry. Our mate George says that he wins with 58 days.
58
Is
days?
that true?
I'm going to have that beat soon.
That's 58
By
days.
By the end of the year. I got a 59-day stretch at the end of the year.
Is that without going on land, though?
Yeah, that I'm assuming he means that's without
George,
land.
do you mean without going
Oh.
on land?
Okay, so are days at sea different than days in a crew?
58 days at sea, only in transit.
Wow.
Roger, George.
I think I'm maybe 20 days without hitting port.
I think I've done 4 weeks.
4 weeks?
Yep.
I think my longest. Wait, are we talking without land again?
Without land, yeah.
Mine was Honolulu to Pungo Pungo.
How long was that altogether?
It's 20.
That was that was between 2 and 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's about. I think it was 22 days with ports, so about 20
about
days.
Yeah,
20
about 20 days.
Yeah, same here then.
I think I'll have to look. I don't know. I'm not going to say a wrong number.
2 weeks-ish.
Because cruises usually are like two weeks.
2 to 3
max,
weeks
yeah.
or our max. I think my longest cruise was, 4.5 weeks, but we had some weather days and port stops in there.
No one can beat George, though.
Nope, he was right.
50. He was at 58.
58.
It's a long way.
It is. That's quite the endurance for that ship.
Which ship? Australia to Spain.
Not in the Suez Canal, not through the Suez Canal, George.
I think
Wow.
around.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So Australia around
Wow.
Cape of Good Hope, South Africa, up to Spain.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's quite the trip.
That is, yeah. Yep. That's a trip. Something's breathing.
All right, we have a viewer that has you all beat, I think. Pretty safe to say. They say longest time at sea without going ashore was 9 months. And then the longest time between ports, 7 months.
I don't believe it.
Yeah, they're military.
That's a good chunk of time.
All right.
They
Yeah.
have to be.
Totally believe
Yeah,
it.
active duty.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need something that's not fossil fuel based for that kind of endurance.
Or support ships.
Or support ships. But that doesn't make sense. Do they have at-sea refueling?
You're asking the Canadian? Yikes. Can't be done.
I have seen Robert find it.
Huh.
So Miles, we were looking at the high pack either yesterday or this morning or something, and there's a setting in there called golden sounding. Do you know what that is?
The golden sounding?
Yes.
I'm
no.
gonna say no, but I'm gonna take a stab at it.
I think it's in the list of things you can like toggle on and off on the map display.
Oh,
Oh, in Layer Manager?
no.
Golden sounding.
We couldn't figure it out.
Oh, no. I've got this stuck.
I would guess it's the shoalest point, but now you made me want to look it up.
What's a shoal? You said shoalless point?
Yeah, which would be the shallowest point on the map.
Shoalest. So that means
Shoalest.
most shallow?
Most shallow.
Cool.
So this is permanently part of the sonar screen now. Huh. How hard could it be to find the setting? What's this? Oh no. Wiper, that's what I need. Whoop. Oh no. There we go. Oh. Yeah.
Is that like a little squeegee mouse icon?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Well, welcome. Welcome to the control van.
Thank you.
Long time no see.
It has been a couple hours. It's funny that for me it's the 12 to 4 watch that I never see, and sometimes it feels like it's like, is this person still on the boat? Like
Yeah.
I haven't seen them for hours.
Yeah, that's true. That's a tricky one.
Mm-hmm. Well, update is that it's still very damp outside.
Okay, good to know.
You can see the lights of the island, though, which is kind of cool.
Oh, that is cool. So we're not socked in anymore.
We're not socked in, but it's very humid, and I think a little sprinkly still.
Oh, cool. I think, yeah.
Maybe.
Do we know what the forecast is? Is it supposed to blow over, or are we going to hang out with the rain for a little while longer?
I bet Miles knows that answer.
Stand by.
Checking now.
Mixed showers, sunny. You know, kind of like it's been. No big strong gusts or anything until Saturday.
And what's coming in Saturday?
Just gust of 20 knots, but sunny.
Huh. So windy but sunny, and that's in Pongo Pongo?
Yes.
So that's when we'll be in
Saturday.
port then. Okay.
Fantastic.
So it gets gusty just in time for us to take off in that little plane.
Yeah.
Lucky you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you guys.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, it's right at noon.
You all are flying back to Apia?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be the document for me, Miles.
Do you guys have some time in Pongo Pongo, or are you heading straight back?
I think they have us booked out like kind of midday from Pongo Pongo. So I think we'll just have time to pull into port and pack our bags and head on our way. So looking at the high pack, it looks as if Nautilus is just about pulled even with line 9, while Argus is following dutifully behind somewhere just passing line 6. So once we get up to line 11, we'll make a turn and retrace that line to make sure that we cover any potential gap in our original coverage, so that we will have be ensured that we have a full look at the entirety of that original boundary, and especially in this spot that was fairly close to the original reported sinking position or the crash position. And then we'll continue past that, and there's a couple of targets that we identified early on, or marked as targets 30 and 31 for further investigation and possible identification. So we will run the vehicle over both of those and get a view through the downward-looking Argus camera, and that should give us a real sense of what it is that's actually on the bottom. We'll get a real-time image of it through the video feed, and then can compare that to the original digital interpretation of it from the sonar display, and we'll have a sense then of what are we really getting, what's on the bottom versus what the machinery is showing us. So stay tuned.
Does that screen on the port side of the sonar mean that there's like heavy rock formations and then a drop off, and then no, yeah.
Yeah, the signal's not making it down the slope. Yeah.
How's it going back there, back row?
Just watching the best show in town.
Is it sort of a rocky bottom? Is that what we're seeing in the sonar?
Yeah, it looks like the vehicle's just passing over a pretty steep section, and it's got a lot of pretty rocky slope. And at one point the the sonar signal wasn't even reaching all the way to the bottom from the down the slope. It was just kind of getting swallowed up. But I think we're starting to probably with the Argus pilot following the terrain, we're reconnecting. But it's from the camera, it's looking like a pretty rocky slope. So, and that's reflected in the sonar. The sonar is showing us pretty much the same thing. So,
It's steeply downhill to port as well.
yes.
Yeah, and so when you're looking at that sonar survey on the top left-hand side, that's right, the yellow goldish colors are higher, and then the brown red are the lower sort of muddy bottom. And then those darker areas are, I believe, shadows mostly. Are we able to determine if it's a shadow or if it's a depression that we're seeing?
A shadow should be totally black since there's no penetration. A depression could be a little more mottled because there still is something in the bottom. It's not necessarily totally blank space. But it's definitely, you know, unhappy with the terrain that we're going over right now.
And then the sort of lines that we're seeing, either vertical or horizontal, those are caused both by the movement of the ship, right? And then, but also we're seeing a lot of bright yellow that indicates the rocky bottom.
Yeah, the ones that are more horizontal on the edges is kind of a result of just being on the edge of the signal and the interference with all the other noise going on. The waviness definitely has to do with the boat moving around as it's transiting. That's then tugging Argus along. So once we get onto the line, that'll smooth out and it'll look more straight on either side of the black.
Russ, a lot of people have shared with us that they are really appreciative of the stories that you tell and the way that you tell them. How did you learn to be such a great storyteller? Coming from a historian and, you know, an explorer.
Yeah. Well, first, thank you very much. That means a lot because that's really why we're here is to share the story and to share all the stories connected with Samoan Clipper. So it's really gratifying to know that people appreciate that, and certainly I'm flattered to hear that they think that I tell them well. Yeah, I don't think it's not learned. You know, it's just something I guess I've always done. Is you know, always like to learn and share and tell stories. And if you say I do it well, then I'll thank you and take your word for it, and hopefully tell you some more stories that you're going to enjoy.
I've been watching Nautilus for a few years now, and it's difficult too when there are, you know, when we're looking at sort of the same thing day after day, the survey on one side and, you know, the sort of blank bottom on the other. So to fill that with these stories and this history, you know, it's been able to still be a learning experience, and also, you know, kind of like a walk down history lane.
And what's it like to be on this side, Maddie, after several years of watching all this?
I feel like I have a whole new appreciation for what you all do. Yeah, it's really, really cool to kind of see behind the scenes. I mean, there's so much that is transparent and just in terms of expedition and what you all do, but then to be here and see it in real time and in real life is really an eye-opener. There's a lot that goes into this sort of work. And it's fun.
Well, I for one would not have guessed that this is your first time doing it.
Well, thank you. I was telling Dee Dee, my boyfriend was listening the other day, and I just talked to him earlier today, and he goes, I can't believe you guys talked about neck pillows for 20 minutes.
I might pull that off tomorrow and wear it in here just for a little bit.
Yeah, I think we.
Okay.
I think we should rock it. Yeah. Were you here for that conversation?
I was not, but I can imagine.
I've told you about the neck pillow.
Your neck pillow.
the
Oh, yeah,
neck
yeah.
pillow. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Dee Dee has the same one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and she can swear by it as well. Yeah, I think we should bring them in, and then everyone can test them for themselves.
If we mention their name, we might get a free one out of
I was
it.
going to say, yeah, not a sponsor.
Yeah, right.
Not a sponsor, sorry. Yep.
It's not an endorsement.
Mentioning on Nautilus Live just is not an endorsement.
No, it's just, yeah. I slept like 10 hours from San Francisco to New Zealand. It was incredible. I was also exhausted, so it's probably not just the neck pillow. But it was a good one.
Okay, I'm gonna have to try that out.
Got to convert.
Have you guys seen Valeria's neck pillow?
Yes, the dragon.
Hers is super
Or
cool.
iguana? I thought it was dragon.
One of them.
Maybe.
I can't remember. She also left this poncho in here, which is incredible. I'm so cozy in this little corner. Just need my neck pillow.
When you said poncho, I was picturing like a rain protection device.
No, but I think we do need some of those as well.
Merp.
Yep, definitely a lot of rain today.
Alyssa, when you're flying the ROV, how do you know which way, like how do you know when to bring it up and when to bring it down? I mean, do you have an elevation?
Yeah, there's sort of a combination of things between the altimeter, which tells me how high above the seafloor I am. Then we also have a forward-looking sonar, which helps me see obstacles as they get closer. So a combination of those two, and plus just the video feed from Argus can be helpful as well.
How do you learn how to fly an ROV? I mean, is that something that they taught you in school, that you studied, or?
Not really. I mean, Trevor did a great job first couple of days of showing me what to do. So, yeah, this is really my first time flying like this sort of thing. So.
Oh, whoa. Well, I think you're doing an excellent job.
Thank you.
Alyssa, I just turned on our RoboCam here in the van, and was hoping to zoom in.
Zoom on my left arm here.
Yep. You know what I'm doing.
It's doing all the work.
Let's see if we can do this. So if you're on the quad channel, you can see what we're talking about. There's Alyssa sitting there driving Argus, and oh, too far. There's my knee. And if I, too far.
Oh,
all the way. Full
that
wide.
is the science row.
There's that.
There's
that
Sam,
little
front
box
center.
next to Alyssa's left side. I'm also a new driver here. Okay. If we zoom in, it is the winch
you're so
control.
close.
I believe in you, Sam. That's
Do we have a flashlight?
it. Yeah. I got one.
We're doing a full tour here.
This is
Oh,
awesome.
yeah.
Oh, get the
Here,
flashlight
I'll
out
hold
of
the
Here's my
flashlight.
hand.
Yep, there we go. Okay. Oh, if you go a
I
little,
think your
if
chair's
you
in the
move a
way.
little to the right, perfect. There we go.
Here we go.
Perfect.
Here's how you drive Argus.
So what are you going? What are
don't get
you
distracted,
pushing here? And what are
wall
the what's the readout?
So
there is a wall coming up, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So on there, it's telling me the speed that the cable is being either paid out or paying. So that's saying meters per minute. Then we also have the tension, because you don't want too much tension on the cable, because that's really for a certain amount of pounds. So that's about all that's on there, and then some other like power and low tension lights just that come on as sort of warnings. So most of the stuff I'm looking at is up on the screens here.
Awesome. We can look at those screens now. There's also a lot of dust on that I'm only seeing now that there's a light on it.
It's usually
That's why we
dark.
never
Yeah,
turn
it's
the light on.
normally dark.
Never turn the light on.
Okay, zoom out. Let's take a look at those screens. So here are the screens you're looking at. Which one are you using, Alyssa?
So the ones are right in front of my face
Great, let's
here.
try to do that zoom.
That's where all like mostly the
oh, there it is,
sensor readouts. So the altimeter is on here. This is also where you control some of the sensors, turn them on and off. The thrusters, what way I want to face.
You're good.
Okay, surprise
Yep.
beeping. We have identified the source of the beeping.
And then on the left, I also have high pack, which gives some bathymetry, so I can sort of see before they happen whether we have hilly terrain, going downslope, upslope. So that's also can be helpful. On the left here.
There we go.
There we go.
There's high pack. Oh, oh. Oh, there we go. Perfect.
I'm not sure if you realized the black spot of the nadir actually is the depth of the towfish. So when you go in and out, the nadir gets bigger and narrower as you get closer or further from the bottom. So you never want that to be directly going towards the middle. That means you're heading into the bottom.
The middle being that sort of white
The
bar.
white, yeah, yeah. That means you have impacted the bottom when there is no black line.
Oh, look, we kind of saw it get wider and then,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's not a good feeling.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
And then you see big spikes and then you get nothing.
So what are we flying at right now?
About 16 meters. We're going upslope as well.
It is still, I mean, it's hard to see, but it's pretty impressive that you can actually see those rocks from 16 meters above them.
It's very clear.
Yeah, it's very clear.
Yeah, these lakes are very, very bright. Considering how deep and dark this part of the ocean is.
So we went over the winch control, but we can connect the dots here from the control van where Alyssa is driving the winch to the back deck where you can't quite see the winch. Let's see. Alyssa, you want to explain how the cable works there?
Sure. So the cable is on that A-frame back there, and that is connected to the winch,
There
which
it is.
is down sort of below that deck in a hold.
Oh,
Yeah. Get the full view here.
I could do that. In theory.
Yeah, winch hold is the one you want, I think.
Not future winch?
I mean, you could do future winch. I don't know what that one's actually called.
Here we go. Hey, that worked.
There we go.
Wow.
Nice.
The winch
Nice
is
work.
turning.
So that's where the cable magic happens.
So that is actually changing as you change the altitude?
Yep.
And how does that traction winch work?
So we have the sort of the storage of the cable is on that bigger spool you see there. And then the spool on the left is what controls the tension. So that spool is from the sort of storage spool on the right.
And so that is connected back up there. So we've gone from the innards of the ship to the outards. Oop.
Outards.
Outards, yeah.
Is that a word?
I don't think so.
It's a new one. I
Yeah.
like it.
And here we'll do another view of the A-frame and the shackle and the cable in the water. Not the shackle, but the Come on. Nope, I guess that one doesn't go that way. Okay, maybe not.
By having this A-frame sort of project the cable out, does that
What?
Oh.
What?
How does a Deskin look at camera 6?
Which one's camera 6?
Aft robo.
After robo.
Don't stream it. Don't stream it. Just look at it.
Stand by.
I can put it here for you if you want. What do you want me to do to it? I want you to examine the Deskin inside the dome. Look at that. Isn't that great? Anyway, it's a great shot. Share that.
That is a great shot. How are you looking at that right now?
What? This is an aft camera. It's your joystick camera. Oh, it's my fault. Yeah. It is your fault.
This is some of the most interesting bottom terrain I've seen so far.
What's so interesting about
That's
it?
pretty cool.
I don't know, just it's crunchy
Yeah.
as not squishy.
Excellent, yes.
Well played, well played. Is it rock? I mean, are those?
Yeah, I think those are basalt pillows, lava pillows.
Fudge lava.
Fudge lava. American Samoa is located in a zone called the Samoa Hotspot. So it is a very volcanically and seismically active part of the world. I think it was yesterday or day before yesterday. It all kind of blends together at this point, but there was a earthquake that we actually saw on Google. It was about 120 miles south of American Samoa on the other side of the island. But it is, you know, a reminder of where we are in this part of the world. And there are volcanoes on the islands as well, of course. I think the last eruption on American Samoa occurred between 1905 and 1911, so just over a century ago. So what we're seeing on the floor is very indicative of that. These basalt and carbonate rocks that come from volcanoes. Have you all heard of I'm not going to pronounce this the right way, but Vailulu Seamount? It's 45 kilometers east of Tau Island. So in our general area. And there's a summit crater, and in that area an active underwater volcanic cone called Nafanua. And that's named after a war goddess in Samoan mythology. But that seamount, as well as others, and studying volcanic activity in Samoa and also in Hawaii, they have a very similar sort of model. Helps researchers to understand how islands are formed in this part of the world and how hotspots sort of are modeled, and you can take that and apply it to other parts of the world that have similar processes and just to better understand. Kind of like what we're doing here.